All right. Yeah, it's been recorded in that sense. So we welcome Dr. Eric Parela from Northwestern University, the Philippines, for the guest lecture for this particular class, and he brought few of his students here. I saw few names here. Eventually in this class right now, we are very much of international. We have the guest lecture is from the Philippines. We have some and majority here are Malaysian, and then we have I think three of our friends here are from China in joining the class, because we have our international students also from from China. So it's quite interesting groups of people that we have here this morning. So before we start, I would give a chance to at least Dr. Eric to maybe say a few words for this class. This is my MBA class actually. For the course, the name of the course is called Firms, Institution and Competition. That's why we are talking about firms. We're talking about the institution. We're talking about the competition and so on. So your topic on SMEs are very relevant in this particular class. So I'll let the floor for Dr. Eric. You want to say a few words?
Good morning from the Philippines. I am Eric Santos Parilla, a faculty member of College of Business Education, Northwestern University. The presentation that I'm going to discuss to you today, my dear students and Sir Ivan, is a product of my research entitled Impact of COVID-19 on the micro, small, and medium enterprises in the operating in Ilocos Norte, Philippines. Actually, in the Philippines, sir, and my dear students, we categorize the different enterprises and different businesses according to micro, small, and medium, and large enterprises. When we talk about micro enterprises, these are businesses with less than 3 million pesos. When we talk about small enterprises, that's 3 million 1 to 15 million pesos. And then for medium enterprises, that's 15 million 1 to 50 million. And the large corporations or the large businesses are 50 million above. So that's the category of our Department of Trade and Industry. Sir.
All right, thank you, Derek, for so you can, I think you can share your slide already. You can start the lecture. I think they give the time to you, and we shall listen to what you are saying in the paper itself. So thank you very much.
Okay, so good morning once again. I'm Eric S. Parilla. So I'm going to discuss to you the effects or the impact of COVID-19 in the micro, small, and medium enterprises operating in Ilocos Norte, Philippines. Ilocos Norte is a province of the Philippines. It's located at the northernmost part. Let me just share my PowerPoint. It's located at the northernmost part of the Philippines, and the main product here are agriculture products. We are primarily agriculture by industry, but there are some big companies also here located here in Ilocos Norte. So COVID-19 pandemic. So we all know that we have the COVID-19 pandemic almost for 17 months now. And here in the Philippines, it's continued lockdown. So we are having here in my province, actually, it's still lockdown. We are on its 7th week lockdown since July of 2021 because of the Delta variant of the pandemic. So actually, we have experienced two lockdowns already. The first one was the first variant, and now the second one is the Delta variant. And hopefully by the grace of God, we will be able to be back in normal by the end of the year. Vaccination is already ongoing. However, the rollout of vaccines is quite slow here in the Philippines. I don't know there in Malaysia how's the rollout, but here in the Philippines, unfortunately, there are some people who doesn't want to get vaccinated because of the some rumors that it's not yet tested, the vaccines are not yet tested. So actually, some Ilocanos, we call our people here Ilocanos. Some Ilocanos don't like to get vaccinated. So that's the problem here in the Philippines because of the rumors that the vaccine are not yet tested. So before I proceed with my research, let's just see the agenda of this discussion. Effects of COVID-19 to other countries. I will show you a video regarding the effects of COVID-19 to the United States. Actually, this video will talk about the effects of COVID-19 pandemic to the small businesses located in the United States. And then I will discuss my research all about impact of COVID-19 here in the province of Ilocos Norte, Philippines. I included the COVID-19 stressors because I deemed it's important that we've discussed also some of the COVID-19 stressors. This is based from a research by Tantenbaum this year, 2021. So this stressors will discuss the different factors that we should consider in dealing with COVID-19, and of course, because of the research on impact of COVID-19, I deemed important that we discuss how to develop high performance team if the time will allow us. So this is the outline of my discussion. So before we start, let me ask you to have to participate and to be engaged in this discussion. So kindly go to menti.com and then use the code 83721305. I repeat, my dear class, kindly go to menti.com and then use the code 83721305. Don't worry, the quiz is all about it's all about the COVID, how aware we are about the COVID, and it's just a 2-item quiz. So it will take around 1 minute or less than 1 minute to answer the quiz. Let's see if some of you have answered already. Okay. So 8 of you, 10. Okay. Sir, how many students do we have here today? How many students?
We have more than so far in the list here, we have more than 20. My class is about 28, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just wait for the others to answer. 12 of you said that through the droplets that come from your mouth and nose when you cough or breathe out. The second option is sexual fluids, including semen, vagina. And the third one is by drinking unclean water. And then the fourth one is all of the above. So let's see if you are aware of how is COVID-19 passed on. This is just to break the ice. So 16. The correct answer is letter A. So through droplets that come from your mouth and nose when you cough or breathe out. So 16 of you said you are correct. The answer is letter A. Second and last question. What are the common symptoms of COVID-19? Okay, COVID-19, a new and continuous cough, tiredness, fever, all of the above. Okay, so 16, 17, all of the above. So you are correct that the symptoms, the common symptoms of COVID-19 are cough, tiredness, and fever. So we are all aware, majority of you are aware of the different symptoms and how is COVID-19 passed on. So congratulations because we are aware of COVID-19. Let me just share again my PowerPoint. Okay. So now, what are the effects of COVID-19? Before I discuss the effects of COVID-19 here in the province of Ilocos Norte, let me just show you a video of the effects of COVID-19, both positive. There are positive effects of COVID-19 also, and the negative effects of COVID-19 to small and medium enterprises located in the United States.
COVID crisis has impacted so many industries this year as the virus forced businesses across the country to close their doors. Mom and pop shops, as you know, were especially hard hit and are struggling to stay afloat amidst the pandemic. ABC's Rena Roy talked with some small business owners on how they plan to plow forward.
2020 has been harder than any mom and pop shop could have imagined.
Really taken a toll on small business owners this year. Financially, honestly, in every way possible.
9 months into the COVID-19 pandemic, many of them are hanging on by a thread.
We don't know from month to month where our income is going to come from. I just really encourage everybody to shop local as much as you possibly can because you're not supporting companies with millions of dollars. You're supporting a mom and a dad and a child.
That's why Small Business Saturday was a lifeline more than ever this year.
If Friday and Saturday did not happen, we weren't going to make it through the end of the year because we didn't have the sales and the income to support the business anymore.
Small businesses are a major part of the U.S. economy. Nearly a quarter of them remain closed. Katrina Paris and Mark Pinn, who have lived in New York City's Harlem for more than 20 years, had to shut down their small lifestyle gift shop, Nilu, for 4 months.
To say it's been hard has been an understatement. I mean, we're in territories that nobody's ever experienced before.
And how much business have you guys lost with the shutdowns and just the pandemic in general, less foot traffic?
About this time compared to last year, I mean, at least 70%.
The husband and wife duo had to rethink how their business could survive, revamping and relaunching their website to draw in more customers.
People had to kind of pivot. And so that's what we had to do is to go e-commerce wise because that's what really mattered to people. They didn't want to come to the stores. So we had to kind of meet where they were, which is online or Instagram or Facebook.
Supporting Black makers and multicultural creators from across the U.S. is also part of their plan to stay afloat and help others do the same, spotlighting local artists inside and opening their sidewalk space outside to vendors in the community.
We decided, hey, why don't you use our available outdoor space because there's no flea markets, there's no vending opportunities. We said, look, no fees, no cost, just come out and hustle and you know and make some money.
And why do that? Because I know you guys don't get any of the proceeds. You know, why reach out to the neighborhood and open up your space?
Because Nilu started with the premise of being a platform for local makers. So it just made sense to extend that.
Paris and Penn opened Nilu in 2015 when they realized the neighborhood was in need of a shop that reflected its culture and diversity. 5 years years later staying true to their purpose. On Small Business Saturday, everyone there felt the love.
It's huge. I mean, we needed, the attention, the focus, and thankfully a lot of people have been responded that way. They want to be conscious shoppers. They wanted to think twice about where they're spending their money. It definitely gave us a boost.
Just shop small, shop local, shop conscientious, and put your money where your mouth is.
And it's not just Small Business Saturday that makes a difference. Business owners say shopping local will be especially important over the next few weeks as people pick up those holiday gifts. Diane, Terry.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the
Okay, so digesting from the video, my dear students, what are the things that we can learn from the video? From the video, we learn that small and micro businesses in the United States are struggling because of COVID-19. That's a fact. And what else can we digest from this video? We should go local. We should support local. Because this small businesses are employing the family, a small group of people. We should try to help them. And lastly, there is a positive impact or effect of COVID. And what is it? The positive impact of COVID is people are now more helpful, meaning even the small businesses have this corporate social responsibility. Okay? So with this video, I was encouraged to do a research about the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the micro, small, and medium enterprises operating in Ilocos Norte. So because of the epidemic or pandemic of coronavirus illness, the world and the Philippine economies have been seriously impacted. These micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises are among the most severe victims of the COVID-19 pandemic. Between March and April 2020, the country's Luzon Island, the biggest island in the Philippines, where Ilocos Norte is located, was placed under a complete lockdown with just a few exemptions, limiting the mobility of the general public in the area. Because of the lockdown, employment levels dropped, with estimates indicating that up to 1 million individuals have lost their jobs with the entire Luzon Islands due to the shutdown. Furthermore, the imposition of the community quarantine would, at the absolute least, result in cumulative losses of gross value added of 3 billion Philippine pesos in each of the country's major sectors. These are manufacturing, merchandising, and service and agriculture, which would be devastating. Due to the world pandemic that every nation is now suffering, the Philippines economy in general and the Ilocos Norte economy in particular are being adversely impacted by the pandemic. United Nations Development Program described the COVID-19 pandemic as a humanitarian catastrophe that goes beyond the realm of health. It has detrimental impact on society and the economy as a whole. So the purpose of this study, this research study investigates the effect of COVID-19 on the MSMEs in the province of Ilocos Norte. Specifically, it intended to reach out the company or owners or entrepreneurs as its primary participants to convey the necessity of being prepared to deal with these types of circumstances. Understanding and assessing the implications and consequences of the COVID-19 disaster on communities and economies are essential for guiding and tailoring our local government units and partners' action to the issue, ensuring everyone's safety throughout the recovery and restoration process. This is again according to United Nations Development Program last 2020. So what are the different problems or statement of the problem or specific questions that I have answered? So generally, this research paper is determined to assess the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the micro, small, and medium enterprises, and it answered the following specific questions. Number one, what is the degree of impact of COVID-19 or the lockdowns to MSMEs? Let me just emphasize, I am studying the first lockdown that happened in the Philippines. Number two, what are the various issues faced by MSMEs in Ilocos Norte? Number three, what are the coping mechanisms of MSMEs in Ilocos Norte? Number four, how are MSMEs planning to tackle the cash flow shortage? Because this is the main problem of micro, small, medium enterprises here in the Philippines, cash flow. Number five, how long is the survival period? Number six, how long is the time required to get back to normal businesses? And the most important question is, what is the needed assistance from the local government unit of Ilocos Norte by these MSMEs? So these are my specific questions that will be answered later. So the methods, the study respondents were selected using a convenience sampling technique, and they were entrepreneurs or business owners in Ilocos Norte. The number of respondents was 305 business owners. Actually, according to our Department of Trade and Industry in Ilocos Norte, we have about 1,700 micro, small, and medium enterprises. So 305 entrepreneurs, as my sample size is already sufficient according to the sample size calculator, Rausoft. Google Forms to distribute. I used Google Forms to distribute questionnaires since face-to-face interviews were prohibited because of the lockdown. So according to the first table, as you can see, my participants, the table revealed that as to industry, the 5 well-represented industries for this study are retail and wholesale, including sari-sari store. Okay, the sari-sari store, we call it sari-sari store, the small groceries here in the Philippines, we call it sari-sari store, 47.9%. Consumer goods manufacturing, that's 14.8%. Agriculture, forestry, and fishing is 14.1%, as you can see in the table. Restaurant and hotels are 5.2%, and information communication technology is 4.3%. Here in Ilocos Norte, there are many BPO companies located here at our province. So 4.3%. Moreover, as to size of the business, you can see that 145 or 47.5% are micro businesses, mostly sari-sari store. 113 are small, and only 15.4% are medium enterprises. As to methods, the research, as to research instrument rather, the research instrument utilized in this study was a questionnaire, and there are 2 parts. The first part is the organizational profile, consisted of the industry, the area, and the size of the business. On the other hand, For the second part, which is your impact of COVID-19, I adopted a questionnaire used by Safi et al. 2020 in their research entitled Impact of Impact of COVID-19 Pandemic on Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises Operating in Pakistan. So, as to data analysis, the researcher used descriptive statistics in narrating the results of the study. Mostly, the items were presented using frequencies and percentages, and the researchers used also tables and graphs to present the answers of the respondents are entrepreneurs. So before we go to the results, let me again ask you. So kindly go again to menti.com. What is the effect of COVID-19 pandemic to you as an individual? Okay, just to break the ice again, let me just share the code. Okay, so kindly go to menti.com and use the code 2416087. So as an individual, what is the effect of COVID-19 pandemic? Were you able to, for me, the effect of COVID-19 is the difficulty of having my classes because right now I do not know if my students actually can understand because we don't have any interaction, because face-to-face is not allowed here in the Philippines. I don't know. Sir, is face-to-face allowed in Malaysia? Not yet.
No, it's not allowed.
Okay, so the difficulty right now of us with Sir Ivan is we do not know if our students really understood or what's happening behind the computer. Okay, so kindly go to menti.com and use the code 2416087. So nobody is answering as of the moment. Okay, so maybe the student, the answer of this student is living with the virus, meaning the social impact of the COVID-19, the social isolation that he is or she is suffering. So what else? Working from home takes more of my time. Yes, that's really another problem of this work from home scheme, because it's taking more of my time. Because in the office, we have 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. here in the Philippines. So we go home after that. But working from home makes me work from until evening. Being infected and stranded alone in a lonely room, isolation, lost job. Yes, there are many people, there are many displaced workers right now in trying to get back again. Afraid to go out and socialize with friends now. Yes, correct. The social isolation that we are experiencing, and it causes mental health problems also, because we are social animals. Affected logistics and supply chain movement with your business. Yes. So what else? So these are the effects of COVID-19 pandemic. As an outgoing person, the previous lockdown and the current movement control order is so stressful. Yes, if you are an outgoing or extroverted person, this is the isolation that we are suffering right now is a big has a big impact on us. So these are the effects. But let's see the effects of COVID-19 in terms of the perspective of a business. Okay, so let me stop sharing. Okay, so the results of the study. First one, what is the degree of impact of COVID-19 or the first lockdown to micro, small, medium enterprises. As anticipated, the COVID-19 pandemic has severely affected small, micro, and medium-sized enterprises operating in Ilocos Norte. All of the companies under investigation said that their operations had been adversely impacted. As you can see, almost half or more than half of the entrepreneurs said that they were affected 51% to 100%. Their businesses were affected 51 to 100%. Notably, more than 51.8% of those who took part of the survey said the recession or the pandemic significantly affect their companies. The results suggested that all enterprises in all industries had been involved in a way or another by the COVID-19 pandemic. It has brought several problems to businesses. So the impact, 51 to 100%, almost more than half. So the second table shows that what are the various issues faced by these entrepreneurs in Ilocos Norte. When questioned about the kinds of difficulties that these businesses are dealing with as a result of COVID-19, the top 5 issues were very obvious: financial, sales drop, profit lost, transportation, and a fall in demand. So all related, interrelated. Bottom line, their financial well-being is being affected by this COVID-19. Furthermore, a decrease in order may be attributable to a reduction in client and buyer flow. This finding suggests that in addition to other problems, most MSMEs are susceptible to financial difficulties, supply chain interruptions, and demand limitations. So these are the effects of COVID-19. So how did this micro, small, medium enterprises cope up with this pandemic? According to survey, to deal with the current economic downturn, businesses have adopted many various strategies. Remarkably, 58% of businesses have continued to do business even if it's locked down, while 30.2% have restricted travel, and 19.3% of companies intend to seek a loan shortly. Furthermore, 15.1% of the companies have employees who work from home. And due to the outbreak of COVID-19, 11 companies were ordered to close their doors to prevent the illness from spreading. This is quite alarming. 11 of the businesses are ordered temporarily to shut down. To make matters worse, just 7.5% of the participating businesses said they intend to alter their businesses line to meet the COVID-19 challenge. Despite this, not all MSMEs have the financial means to implement such plans successfully. Additionally, limiting travel is a more effective and expedited method of reducing exposure to the illness than vaccination. The next table will discuss how did the entrepreneurs tackle the cash flow shortage. Because most of companies here have cash flow problems during times of economic crisis like this pandemic, the researcher requested the participating businesses to describe their methods for dealing with cash flow issues during the time of economic crisis. According to the findings, 41.3% of the companies applied for a loan and 25.6% choose to lay off some employees instead of expanding. Furthermore, 24.3% of the answering businesses want to partly shut down their operations to cut costs, manage a cash flow deficit, and lower their employees' wages. Because of the pandemic's severity, it was already anticipated that many companies would close and their workers would be laid off. These results suggest that majority of the participating businesses are battling to stay afloat via a variety of strategies. So these are the strategies of our entrepreneurs. So the next table will answer how long is the survival period of the MSMEs during the first COVID-19 lockdown. On the subject of survival periods during the ongoing outbreak, 21.6% of the enterprises reported that they could survive for longer than 6 months. Okay. However, 16.7% said they could persist for up to 2 weeks only, and approximately 15.7% reported that they could be maintained for up to 5 weeks. Okay, so we have different survival period of the different enterprises depending on the cash flow of the business. The next one will answer how long is the time required to be back to normal business. Approximately 30.49% of the businesses estimated that it would take 3 to 5 months to return to normal operations. However, as I've said, this is done during the first lockdown. We did not anticipate that we have our second lockdown here in our province. 23% of the enterprise estimated that it would take less than 1 month because most of the companies under investigation are small size. After the pandemic and lockdown have ended, the companies will be able to resume operations and return to normalcy swiftly. Okay. And the last and the most important question, what is the needed assistance from the government? Okay, 62.9% said that the only assistance that they required from our local or provincial government is to allow them, let me emphasize that, allow them to operate business despite the lockdown. Okay, that's the only assistance that they need. Another 16.7% said that they would like the government to issue low interest loan provisions. And 12.1% stated that they would like the government to provide tax breaks to MSMEs. Okay, to discuss, even after just a few months of the pandemic start, the findings indicate that it had already caused widespread disruption among MSME companies operating in Ilocos Norte. Some businesses had to shut down temporarily, close their doors, mostly cited because they want to, they are concerned about their staff health, and they are concerned also of their decreased demand. Businesses have stated that they have decreased their active involvement on average since the pandemic started. The effects varied across industries, and also the micro, small, medium enterprises can only survive for a limited number of months, and the prolonged lockdown can endanger their business operations. The findings highlight that financial instability of many small companies, and to the extent to which the present economic crisis has impacted them. It seems that many of these companies had little cash on hand. That's the problem. During the start of the pandemic, which means that they will either have to reduce costs or take on more debt drastically, or they may be forced to file for bankruptcy. As of the end of 2020 rather, MSMEs considered it doubtful or just somewhat probable that they would open for business. On the other hand, one positive aspect of the COVID-19 pandemic, let me emphasize this, is the researcher can see that it will provide an excellent opportunity for businesses to participate more actively with their corporate social responsibility goals and agenda. When it comes to entrepreneurship, some lessons can be learned from companies dealing with the pandemic. Entrepreneurs' difficulties are caused mainly by a lack of work-related social support instead of salaried workers. Okay, so that's the results of my study. Before I continue and ask Sir Ivan if there is still time to discuss this COVID-19 stressors, do you have any questions or clarifications on my study? Do you have any questions or clarifications before I continue? This is now the situation here in the province of Ilocos Norte, Sir Ivan. We are really hard up with this continued lockdown due to the pandemic. Many businesses, actually my own business, which is a dormitory near the school, there's no occupants renting the 24 rooms that I have. So I am also affected by this local lockdowns. We here in the Ilocos Norte, we have localized lockdowns. It means that the local government units can impose localized lockdowns here in our province.
Okay.
So any questions or clarifications before I continue and ask Sir Ivan if there's still time?
Yeah, you can have another, maybe you can have another, perhaps another like 15 minutes maybe to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions? Do you have any questions or clarifications, my dear students? If
Yeah,
none, I will.
anyone
Sir?
have any question first for Eric to ask the experience from the perspective of the Philippines, perhaps a little bit different from Malaysian perspective.
Yes, sir. Because Ilocos Norte is not, it's a third class province. So we are limited in terms of the cash flow. We don't have that sufficient cash flows, not unlike in Malaysia and in some parts of ASEAN, wherein cash flow is not a problem. But here in Ilocos Norte, it's a little problem here. Do you have any questions? None? So let me just share to you the COVID-19 stressors. This is again another result of a research, but it's not me who have done this research. Is by a foreign researcher named Tantenbaum. Okay, what are the COVID-19 stressors that can affect our team performance or our business performance? Okay, it is categorized into 4. And the first one is individual stressors. The first category is individual stressors. So our main concern right now is our health, because our health is as important as other things. We cannot see the virus, we cannot see our enemy. So we are very stressed, thinking of our own health. What if the person that we are talking is has a virus, so we will be infected already? So another one is just like what one student have said a while ago, overwork and fatigue. This work from home scheme really affected our working schedule. Me personally, I'm working until 12 midnight. So it's quite tiring, but this is the new normal, as they say. So another stressor is the overwork and fatigue. Another category of the stressor that affects our individual and business performance will be lack of team members' expertise, because of the layoff that some companies are making. There are people assuming new roles. So that may not be expert, but because the company or the organization or the business enterprise doesn't have any choice, so he just assumed the role. Another one is unfamiliarity with new team members, heightened consequences of mistakes for team members, and new or unfamiliar processes, just like this this new normal in education. I am really adjusting with the new normal of education, this remote education that we are having. But the good side of it is that I can go to different places. Like now, I am in Malaysia giving my discussion on this COVID-19 without me traveling. Okay, so that's the good side of the COVID-19, but still it brings stress. Another category is the organization level or stressors. So insufficient resources, as what you have seen in my research also. There is no cash flow already. Scarcity of different resources. Another one is forced separation of teams because of this pandemic. And of course, the most common is for businesses is financial stress. And lastly, we have the work-life stressors. So Number one is concern about our family and friends, especially here in the Philippines. Here in the Philippines, let me just highlight that we have very close family ties, just like you. We are very much concerned with our family and friends, other family members being laid off, and of course, the number one effect of COVID-19 is social isolation. So that's it, sir. Do you have any questions or clarifications? I think I cannot discuss anymore the last part. So that's the end of my discussions. Any clarifications or questions about my research? Impact of COVID-19 pandemic to your small, micro, small, medium enterprises located, operating here in Ilocos Norte. Thank you very much and have a good day. Sir, Ivan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eric Varela, for the presentation, for giving us the real scenario of what happens in the Philippines on the first lockdown, in the impact towards the micro, small, medium industry, especially here. For all of you, I mean, for those friends from the Philippines knows that in Malaysia here, actually, we already have 3. This is the 3rd lockdown, not the first, not the second, the 3rd one. We have the 3rd lockdown right now. And since the beginning of the lockdown, from the first, we call it MCO, Movement Control Order. Now we have the so-called MCO, but in the different rebranding. But it's still a lockdown. But our version of lockdown right now is the businesses are still going on, and including the food. I mean, certain place can dine in, certain place in the country are not allowed to dine in. It depends on the severity of the cases here in the country itself. So the country are separated into several places which have been, I mean, right now we have, since I think, correct me if I'm wrong, some of you here in this room, since I think July, I think since July we have, the government have imposed another new things where we want to go, the government want to go ahead with the country actually want to exit the post COVID-19 kind of exit plan. So we have what we call as a national recovery plan. We call it national recovery plan, which are distributed into 4 phases. 4 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Phase 4 is the one means that open up everything and then live with the virus. That's the idea. But some of the states are still, I mean, we have 14 states in the country. Some of the states are still in phase 1, some in phase 2, some have moved to phase 3, but no state yet moved to stage 4. So the open up will be gradually depending on the stage. Some of the restriction is still there, especially social restriction, especially like having face-to-face meeting and everything of the restriction is still there, depending, and even moving from one district to one district is also restricted. Not to say from one state to the other state. You have to get the authority permit and so on to get to one place to the other place. So that's how the phase going on. But this is what happens, and you see if the case, if you see our case for the past nearly, I think I would say that 2 months, our case is really very high in the country. I think we are the case quite similar, or in some days we are higher than the Philippines. We recorded about 20,000 positive case per day on average for the past 2 months, I would say. And in some states, it's really goes up until the highest one that has been went up until like 8,000 cases per day. Including my state here in Sarawak here, just to tell you a little bit, my state here in Sarawak, yesterday case was about yesterday was 2,400. Yeah, 2,400 cases. So per day, and the state that is very, very high comparatively to a lot of other places in the country. So yeah, on average we have about 20,000 cases per day, but our the a little bit of good news is that the death toll might not as high as compared to some other countries. That's the good news, but the bad news is that the case is still high, death is still there per day, and some of the worrying statistic right now is that some of the cases that is actually brought in death means that they have died in the house, not in the hospital, or you know, that kind of worrying case. And our vaccination rate actually comparatively maybe to the Philippines is considered very high in ASEAN country, other than the Singapore. Right? Other than Singapore, Malaysia here, the vaccination rate is actually, I think the country vaccination rate right now exceeds 60% for the whole country. And in some states actually, like in my states, actually 90% have been vaccinated. 90% adults, not including the whole population. 90% adults have been vaccinated here in the state. And I think Labuan, I think almost hit 100%. And in the Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, also the vaccination rate is very high, but the cases are still very high. So that's an interesting case to look at, perhaps because of the severity. Almost everyone been affected and so on. So that's the thing, and certainly the impact towards the small medium industry are very highly impacted, like what the Philippines have because of the lockdown and so on, and the inability to have. So anyhow, so any one of you here have any question for Dr. Eric here? Perhaps you want to know a little bit more about I mean, from the perspective of the Philippines, you can ask maybe 1 or 2 questions, and then after that we will let him in this team go to because he has spent like an hour here in this our class here eventually. So any question from any one of you want to ask question?
Yeah, doctor, I have the question.
Can you introduce yourself? Introduce yourself first. At least Dr. Eric will know you. Mohammed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Aris. I'm here, Mohammed, the student CMBA here. So I have the one question. So due to the COVID-19 pandemic, almost all business like micro business, small business to close. So may I know how the Philippine government handle with the problem of small business like micro, and whether in the financial assistance or so on?
Yes. Muhaimin. So thank you for that question. Actually, the government here in the Philippines have responded to the problem by implementing many initiatives and programs, just like the Emergency Employment Program, also known as in Filipino Tulong Pangkabuhayan sa ating Disadvantaged Worker Program. That is a financial program for the displaced workers. For micro and small medium enterprises, we have this TUPAD program wherein there are tax incentives for micro, tax holidays for micro, it's small businesses. They have also different loan programs with 0% interest or low percent interest. So these are the programs. However, because we are located at the northernmost part of the Philippines, the reach of this program is quite limited because of the logistics problem. Here in Ilocos Norte, some of the micro businesses cannot avail or doesn't know of these programs. Actually, if you are not reading the newspapers or not visiting the websites of this government agencies, you will not become aware that there are programs and there are loan assistance programs that the government is implementing. So that's the problem here in my province. But totality in the Philippines, we have loan programs, you have financial programs of the government.
Okay, thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question and the answer itself to show that actually perhaps I would say that there's quite a similarities in terms of the assistance from the government. The government here, government Malaysia also provides such an assistance in that sense, but in a different way. We give up the government program, give up cash assistance and so on. And it's true. What you are saying is that the asymmetric information is there. Perhaps the government provide the assistance, but if the small medium industry do not go to the website or do not be announced or not active in the social media or do not have this connection, that connection, they perhaps do not know at all this thing exists. So it's always that kind of case. The asymmetric information means that the provided, but then the participant perhaps do not know what is going on, or do not know actually because of all these issues and logistic, whichever the issues that exist inside there. But anyhow, so any last question from the floor? Anyone want to ask before we go off? Before we let him go?
Yeah, Doctor, can I try?
Yes, Vicky, go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Eric. Good afternoon. Good morning. Okay, my first question is, how do you see the technology advancement during this pandemic in Philippines? Maybe the things we can try to implement in Malaysia. Okay, that's the first question. The second question is how the financial institution in the Philippines handle this kind of COVID-19 issues. Because in Malaysia, we got the moratorium relief fund for the SMEs. So how the financial institution in Philippines handle this kind of issues, maybe the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay. The first question with regards to your first question about technology, I believe that in terms of technology, we are adaptable. In the Philippines, we have different technological advancements also. The people here are technologically adapted in terms of social media, in terms of the digital marketing, in terms of e-commerce. We can adapt. So how should I say that? There's no problem in terms of technology except for internet connection. We have very slow internet connection. That's our problem. But in terms of the people's skills of technology, there's no problem. The only problem here in the Philippines is the internet connection. I think we are second to the lowest in ASEAN countries in terms of internet connectivity. And then what's your second question, Vicky?
Let Vicky explain what's the meaning of moratorium, because moratorium is only happens in Malaysia, Vicky. So people might not understand what is moratorium. You need to explain.
Okay, about the moratorium, right? Okay, the government are given something like exemptions to the people to pay back their loans for some period of months, or maybe the 3 months period for the exemption for their loans. This is what we call moratorium.
Yes. Here in the Philippines, we call it tax holidays, but we don't have any moratoriums. But our government actually have tax holidays or some benefits that the people will pay minimal amount of taxes, and also we have what we call the incentives that we offer the different businesses in terms of, for example, we have loans. There is also what we call holidays. We are the different businesses don't have to pay the amortization for the next 3 months or 5 months, but they will pay it after recovering from the pandemic. But in terms of the total forgiveness of the loan, there's no such thing here in the Philippines.
Yeah, thank you for
Okay,
that.
thank you, Eric. Thank you, Mr. Eric.
Yeah, I guess it's quite similar as what we hear. The idea of moratorium is not to forgive the loan. It's just that to delay the payment, just to delay the payment, which is called tax holiday in some countries, and in the Philippines also. Means that you'll not be able to pay right now. It's okay. I give you time to pay perhaps in the much more later months when you get back. You get back on your feet, and then you have much more better outcome or profit and so on. Then you pay back. Yeah, here the idea was some of it will have been charged, even though the tax holiday will be charged with some interest, some with free interest. So it depends on where we are going here in this in the country. But anyhow, yeah, good to know that some sort of assistance in that sense happens also in the Philippines and here in Malaysia. So I think I would stop the session for now. We have a very great session for me, at least to know the real scenario of what happens in your at least in your province, to know what is really happens around, and to do the survey to know what actually they wanted, what actually these SMEs facing and so on, and the first lockdown. I'm sure if you continue on with the process here with the second lockdown right now, I'm sure you'll get much more information, which will be very important for the local government and for the country itself. This will be very, very significant. Studies. Although it seems simple, but it's actually down to earth and real, to reflect the real scenario that happens on the ground. Rather that we do something that is so big up there, but it doesn't reflect what is going on the ground, right? So, and you share your experience about your own perspective on your dormitories and so on and so on. So that's good. That's good. So I think shall let you go. So we again thank you very much for on behalf of the class. Thank you very much for your attendance and some of your students from the Philippines. I'll say hi to some of them. Who attended also this morning. I think we have, let me see the names here.
We have Millard, JM, and Jane, Evelyn.
All right, so good to see all of you, and hope to see all of you in the future face to face one day. The good part, I have to announce this. The good part is that we have. For those of you, my student here, we have the collaboration with Northwestern University. We're going to sign the MOU. Actually, this is it's been signed, but it's still officially still under process. But we're going to sign it officially. So means that all this engagement will be happening in the next future because of this engagement. A part of it will be something like this, and a lot more other activities that we're going to do. Perhaps we can travel there physically rather than travel there virtually, and the other way around, you travel here physically. But yeah, let's see the condition. Hopefully, we hope for the best in 2022 and move forward, go back to what we call as new normal, or pretty much back to normal, right? So thank you very much, Eric, and the rest of the team that attended, and we should thank them with our own way, perhaps. So thank you very much, Eric. You can you are allowed to leave the room, and thank you very much for the rest for attending.
Thank you, my dear students. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, some let me check. Okay, yeah. Some of them are still still inside here, but it's okay, no problem. So we shall, as I mentioned just now, we shall go for a break. We shall come back like half an hour from now. So about 11:50, right, in the morning. You'll go for have a break. Go for having your perhaps early lunch, and you come back, and then we continue on with doing the presentation. We have I think 2 just now. Yesterday 4. We have 3 more presentation to go. We have 9 presentations, so 3 more presentation to go, and then I will wrap up the class, and we have a quiz after this. No worries about the quiz. It's very easy. It's just that I'll give you time to do that. All right. After this, so don't think, don't clear your mind. Go and have the break, 30 minutes. You want to do whichever you want to exit the room, no problem. Come back. I will let you in. So see you all. Thank you very much.